Morning number 1884. Morsels of a thought, knowing the right things to do. Hopefully, that it is wisdom, because knowing the right things to do is a form of wisdom. And then actually doing it is creating virtue. My goal is to bring some more virtue into this world, bring some value to society. And what we have here is a way to handle feeding your brain. Now, Cavin Balaster, the author of How to Feed a Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Repair, says many, many, many things. He's studied it in depth. He really put his head in it. And he talks about bone broth. Oh, we did bone broth. Hold on a second. As it turns out, page 48, as it turns out, the effects of a concussion or brain injury are similar to those of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. In fact, researchers are looking at TBI, traumatic brain injury, as a model for Alzheimer's disease prevention. At a cellular level, when we look at what happens after a concussion or brain injury, we effectively see the brain age in hyperspeed. And antioxidants help to protect against the effects of aging. Really, really, really important to do. Now, if you've ever hurt yourself in the head, you need this book too. Antioxidants also serve to protect against so much more, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, and dementia. In addition to these benefits, colored fruits and veggies are especially tasty. There are 4 different categories that house our colored fruits and veggies: green, red, midnight, purple, blue, black, and sunset, orange or yellow. I'm at sunset. Different colors of vegetables and fruits indicate different properties and different combinations of phytochemicals, pH, phytochemicals that contribute to health. Not FIGHT. PHYTO chemicals, phytochemicals. To me, says Cavin Balaster, the most important, excuse me, sorry, the most important property, sorry, to me, because Calvin Ballister says, to me, the most important property of these foods is that they promote healthier brain cell structure and function. They also promote stronger, more elastic blood vessels and improved prostate health. And there's a footnote. Additionally, they have antibacterial properties and they protect against DNA damage while supporting immune system, skin, eye, and reproductive health. He's got footnotes everywhere. He's got like over 400 of them. Deeply pigmented fruits and vegetables promote healthier overall cell structure and function. And remember, it all comes down to the cell. Let's look at some examples of what falls into each of these 4 categories so you have an idea of the types of produce to look for. We want to try to eat several different colors every day. Green. Unlike leafy greens, which are leaves on a plant, these are the fruits and vegetables which are brightly colored all the way through and not only on the skin. Some examples of green fruits and veggies that are colored throughout include avocados, celery, green peppers, and honeydew melon. But that's not all. Because of the high antioxidant content of the skins of a few fruits and veggies that are not all green throughout, cucumbers with skin, green grapes, and zucchinis are also counted in this group and are an exception to the general rule that the produce must be deeply pigmented throughout to count as a color. Red. Some good examples of fruits and veggies that are colored red throughout include beets, blood oranges, radicchio, fresh or frozen red cherries or cranberries, no added sugar, grapefruits, red peppers, raspberries, strawberries, and tomatoes. Like green grapes on the green list, because of the antioxidant content on the skins of red grapes, they count as well. Midnight, purple, blue, and black. Midnight veggies are pretty rare, but midnight fruits are some of my favorite. Some examples of midnight fruits include blackberries, blueberries, purple figs, and even purple olives. Olives are technically a fruit. Again, grapes count here too, black and purple grape. Sunset, orange or yellow. Sunset vegetables like golden beets, carrots, squash, pumpkin, sweet potatoes, and orange and yellow peppers are great to roast with sulfur-rich vegetables and then to add to a leafy green salad with plenty of healthy oils and, quote, good fats, end quote. Sunset fruits like oranges, peaches, pineapples, grapefruit, mangoes, and cantaloupe are tasty on their own or in addition to many dishes. There is a plethora of delicious fruits and veggies in each of these categories. Again, because of different colors, excuse me, again, because different colors indicate different properties and combinations of the phytochemicals that contribute to health, we want to get a variety of colors each day. We are reading from Cavin Balaster's book, How to Feed a Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Health. He has forewords by other people. He has done lots and lots of research. This particular part here I will show you is a screen of a lot of things. I can't describe it. And then here is a vibrant color, vibrant brain drawing. This is absolutely in color on his website. So he's got a website. Where is the website? I will give it to you later. The following two handouts were adapted from the Walls Protocol by Terry Walls and Eve Adamson, copyright 2014 by Dr. Terry Walls, LLC. Used by permission of Avery, an imprint of Penguin Publishing Group, a division of Penguin Random House, LLC. For your convenience, all charts can be found as printable, full-size color PDF files at feedabrain.com/handouts. Okay, so feedabrain.com/handouts is where you can find these particular handouts. And boy, let's try to look at it a little. A guide to green and sulfur-rich vegetables. Now, there are leafy greens and there are sulfur-rich vegetables, and there are vegetables that are both leafy and sulfur-rich, leafy green and sulfur-rich. So the ones that are in the middle, I will read to you, called arugula, bok choy, collard greens, kale, all types, mizuna, mustard greens, tatsoi, turnip greens, and watercress. I sometimes don't know what they are, so you'll have to forgive me for not explaining. Um, Here, a vibrant color and vibrant rain. You can search Google Images for pictures of the produce on this list so you know what you're looking for. Nightshade vegetables, problematic for some, are in italics below. So eggplant is one of them, tomato is one of them. I think that's a couple it. But some people have allergies to those particular two fruits, but vegetables. But the rest of these are really, really great. I will read you higher carb limit, and higher carb limit are commercial juices, acorn squash, dried apricots, pineapple, dried fruits, figs, golden sweet potato cooked. And commercial juices, pomegranate, dried cranberries, dried red fruits, and ooh, and then here, commercial juices, dates, dried dark fruit, figs, purple, and prunes and raisins. Okay, so I have some figs that are not purple. Um, Not that that means anything to you guys at the moment. Balancing blood sugar. The importance of stable blood. Okay, I have to stop to tell you something. I think of Cavin as Cavino. I'm familiar with him through a course that is being operated by Dr. Brody Miller. There's the author of Brain Rescue as well. Now, these two books are side by side in that course, and they are regarding the brain, how to feed a brain, and how to recover your brain after a brain injury or concussion. So, both of them have had concussions and severe ones that in one case required surgery, in another case required a coma. So those are very, very, very severe brain injuries. um I'll leave that there for a second. And here, okay, so Calvino is really, really knowledgeable about this stuff, I will say. Um, Balancing blood sugar, he's talking about now. He has gone through lots and lots of research. He's got practically 500 footnotes in this book. 500. Are you kidding me? He's read a lot of papers to write this book. The importance of stable blood glucose levels for our brain health cannot be overstated, as large fluctuations in blood sugar are a major contributor to neurological damage. And this one's got 5 footnotes in it. Neurodegenerative diseases are much more common among diabetics. Every sentence has a footnote, really. In fact, in a 2008 review article published in the Journal of Diabetes Science and Technology, researchers call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes, and this nomenclature is gaining popularity. Wow. Okay. When blood sugar is imbalanced, glucose levels in the blood tend to shoot up and down like a roller coaster. Low blood sugar starves the brain of glucose, and neurons can die as a result. When blood sugar is too high, glycation occurs. Glycation is when proteins, which are the most beneficial substances in the brain and body, are bound by sugar. As this occurs, cells are damaged, including brain cells, and aging is accelerated. If you feel tired when you don't eat, notice more energy when you do eat, or if you get irritable when hungry, your blood sugar is probably not stable. This does not necessarily mean you're diabetic, but you may have blood sugar fluctuations that make for a dangerous environment within your brain. Monitoring. As you can see, blood sugar is an incredibly important biomarker of what stress we are putting on our brain. While it may not be necessary for many of us to check our blood sugar regularly, we don't need to be diabetic to take advantage of this cheap and important tool to monitor our brain health. The levels of our blood glucose throughout the day tell us so much about our brain and overall health, and we have the technology to easily and affordably monitor it by simply using a glucometer. For more information and my preferred glucometer, go to feedabrain.com/blood sugar. What is a healthy blood sugar range? A study using a constant blood sugar monitor measured the normal blood glucose ranges for healthy children, adolescents, and adults aged 9 to 65. This study found ranges to be between 71 to 120 milligrams per deciliter for 91% of the day, with blood excuse me again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, the study found ranges to be between 71 to 120 milligrams per deciliter for 91% of the day, with glucose very rarely less than 0.4% of the day, going below 60 milligrams per deciliter or over 140 milligrams deciliter per deciliter. Most functional practitioners agree that a fasting blood sugar measured first thing in the morning after at least 8 hours without food should ideally be in the mid to high 80s and at least between 85 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. If you find yourself to be off that target and need further support in stabilizing blood sugar, you can find more information and further support at feedabrain.com/blood sugar. It sure doesn't help to contact the doctor's office for help to guide you and see if they have other staff that will be able to monitor along with you. They usually, a teaching university of medical schools will have interns and residents and fellows that are really willing to help out. So try to look that up sometimes, okay? Calvin Balaster wrote How to Feed a Brain, Nutrition for Optimal Brain Function and Health. And he wrote this, and we have this one here from yesterday. I'm going to put it down for a second, and I'm going to continue to read here. We're trying to get wisdom, and these are definitely wise things to do. Your brain is the second most important thing next to your heart, because if your heart stops, nothing's good. Your brain, yes, you need your brain. Actually, the heart and the brain are equally important. The relationship between the heart and the brain is the uh, central focus in Chinese Yenching life science and technology, which I've mentioned before. But what I'm saying is that your brain is so important that you need to deal with this. The heart we've dealt with in a lot of ways in other books, but right now we're dealing with the brain today and Fridays. By including the 6 to 9 fists of fruits and vegetables each day, supplying adequate protein, and removing sugar and processed foods, we are already making important changes that will help to prevent these spikes and dips. Just remember that whenever we eat carbohydrates, we want to eat them with plenty of fat, fiber, and or protein, or all three, and usually in whole food form. Eating food in its whole food form is the most important thing we can do for our brains and bodies. Now, Kevin talks about that a lot. He talks about that a lot. And then here he says to keep my own blood sugar stable, I usually start off the day by eating something high in protein and fat within the first 2 hours of waking. Metabolically, the morning is the worst time to consume a carbohydrate rich breakfast, yet most of the foods which Americans associate with breakfast are either potentially inflammatory like yogurt and eggs, or are very high in carbohydrates like cereal or oatmeal. Cortisol is a neurohormone which boosts blood sugar, and cortisol levels are highest in the morning. In coupling these high levels of cortisol with a breakfast that is high in carbohydrates, we are setting ourselves up for high blood sugar and an increased risk of developing insulin resistance. So let's stop having high glycemic or potentially inflammatory foods for breakfast. Yeah, he's absolutely right. Who says we, you know something? Oatmeal. I've been told oatmeal used to be a horse's food only, and then people started eating it. So I know somebody who is revulsed at seeing oatmeal being eaten by humans. I don't know. To each their own. I mean, and Cavina Balaster says that being high in carbohydrates, oatmeal is not a good food for breakfast. Okay, now he continues. Who says we have to eat breakfast foods for breakfast? I like to eat dinner foods for breakfast. I do too. I enjoy a feed a brain breakfast bowl, quote unquote, feed a brain breakfast bowl. Some kind of leafy green mixed with sauteed, roasted, or raw sulfur and colored produce, some sort of delicious meat or fish, and dressed with a whole lot of brain supportive oil. Many mornings I post a picture and the ingredients of my breakfast bowl on Instagram at Feed a Brain. Tips and tricks to stabilize blood sugar. Now, here's something to listen to. Have a breakfast high in fat and protein. I usually have one half to one full fist size piece of some kind of meat with a heavily oiled, good fat salad that contains all three kinds of produce. Eat a little protein and or good fats for every 2 hours for hold on. Eat a little protein and or good fats every 2 to 3 hours. Don't eat high carb foods without fiber, good fat, and or protein, and keep in mind that grains, even whole grains, are not a good source of fiber, but fruits and vegetables in their whole food form are. Some some foods which often spike blood sugar and that are usually consumed without fiber, good fat, or protein are sodas, even diet, juices, chips, pastries, crackers, and dried fruit. Avoid these foods, especially by themselves. Go, get to sleep before 11 p.m. and stop intake of any caffeine after noon. Your adrenals are usually taxed when the sun goes down if you are not sleeping. And the more we tax our adrenals, the more our blood sugar is affected and our brains are put at risk. I have to say, I'll give you an example. Only eat whole foods, not juices. Don't drink squeezed juices. We want to consume whole fruits. Smoothies have whole fruit. Squeezed juices do not. When it comes to fruit, we want to try to eat these foods in their whole food form and avoid processed products made with them. Fruit snacks, even sugar-free or made from 100% juice, are not whole foods and neither is squeezed juice. When a fruit is squeezed, the juice is collected and the pulp is thrown away, and the fruit is no longer whole. The pulp holds the fiber of the fruit, and without it, we are only getting the sweet liquid by itself. This can very easily spike our blood sugar, negatively impacting our brain. Stops at footnote 66, 266. So we're going to continue to study this part next week, the how tips and tricks to stabilize blood sugar. These are really, really good tips and tricks. Okay, so I'll talk to you later and have a good day. Make sure you do something that inspires you to bring more virtue to the world, even if it is taking radical self care. Because without self care, you can't help anybody else. So, radical self care is a very good thing. Setting boundaries and not going out to lunches with people that are only eating McDonald's and fries and little examples like that. Now, my example was that what was that example I was going to tell you about? The other day, I was in a great deal of pain, and it was because the previous night I had had to be on the phone with emergency services, and it was just not a deep sleep night. And the following day, my whole body and my mindset were really, really taxed, I'll say. So that was an example. Okay, talk to you later. Old Kinderhook.